Hello. Welcome back to the Sleepy Bible Odyssey. We are gently entering the second session of the I Am statements of Jesus. In our first time together, we rested with the bread of life, the sacred ego I me spoken into the deepest hunger beneath all other hungers. We tasted the truth that the bread which truly endures is not a thing, but a person. Tonight we come to the second statement, the one that feels especially close for the one lying awake right now, in the quiet dark, at the end of a day that may have felt uncertain, like walking without quite knowing where the path is leading. I am the light of the world. Light is the very first thing God speaks into existence in Genesis. Before the sun, before the stars, before anything we lean on for illumination, God simply says, "Let there be light." And the light is good. It is the first thing in all creation called good, even before there is anything for it to shine upon. The light comes first. It precedes everything it will one day reveal. And now, in the center of John's Gospel, Jesus takes this first tender act of creation and makes the most beautiful, astonishing claim. I am the light. The same divine I am, the holy name from the burning bush, the name Yahweh gave to Moses, is now spoken over the light itself. The one who spoke light into being at the dawn of the world is the very one standing in the temple courts, looking into your heart, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Never walk in darkness. This is not only about the physical dark. Jesus is speaking to the deeper, quieter kind of darkness, the kind so many of us know. The darkness of moving through your days, doing the right things, while wondering if they're truly the right things. The uncertainty of walking toward a destination you're not even sure is real. The subtle shadow that can rest over a relationship, a season, or a life that feels unclear. Not the loud crisis, but the soft, ordinary darkness of living without the light that makes things clear and beautiful again. Jesus looks at you with such tenderness and says, I am the light. Whoever follows me will never walk in that darkness. Tonight's story is about a man who had never seen anything at all, a man born blind. He had never known the gift of light that others took for granted. And what Jesus did for him, and what that healing uncovered about true sight and true blindness, is one of the most moving accounts of illumination in all the Gospels. And let's spend this hour together with the second I am, the light of the world, and the gentle, practical, deeply personal illumination he offers you tonight right where you are. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. John 9:4-5. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. John 1:9-10. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, But people loved darkness instead of light, because their deeds were evil. John 3:19. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. Psalm 119:105. I am the light of the world. To understand the full weight of this claim, it is important to understand what light meant in the world Jesus was speaking into. In the Hebrew Scriptures, light is consistently associated with the presence and the guidance of God. The pillar of fire that led Israel through the wilderness at night was light, the visible expression of the divine presence moving ahead of the people, showing the way in the darkness. The Psalms return to the image again and again. Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. The light in the Hebrew tradition is not merely illumination. It is presence. It is guidance. It is the specific, practical, completely real knowing of where to go that the person without the light cannot have. Jesus stands in the temple courts, the most sacred space in the world of his listeners, and says, I am the light. The claim is the identification of himself with the divine presence that leads through the wilderness. The pillar of fire, the lamp for the feet, the light on the path. I am the thing that shows you where to go when the darkness has made the way invisible. And the darkness he is addressing is specific. In John's Gospel, darkness is not merely the absence of physical light. It is the condition of the person who is separated from the source of the light, who is moving through the world without the orientation that the light provides. Nicodemus comes to Jesus at night, the darkness of the person who has not yet come fully into the light. The betrayal of Judas happens at night. John records that Judas went out and it was night, the darkness of the departure from the light. The darkness is the condition of the person who does not know where they are going, because the light that would show the way has not been received. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. The following is the key word. Light does not help the person who stands still. It illuminates the path for the person who is walking. The following is the moving in the direction the light shows, the walking in the way the light reveals, the doing of the next thing that the light makes visible. The light is not given in advance for all the steps of the journey. It is given for the next step. The lamp for the feet, the light for the path, not the floodlight that illuminates the whole landscape at once, but the specific, sufficient, completely adequate light for the step that is required right now. The light of life. The light that is not only the illumination of the path, but the source of the life itself. The person who has the light of the world is the person who has the one who is both the light and the life, who has, in following the light, been drawn toward the source that makes the following possible and the arriving certain. The darkness Jesus addresses is not the darkness most people think of when they hear the word. Most people hear darkness and think of the dramatic darkness, the acute crisis, the severe suffering, the loss or the failure, or the season of obvious difficulty that announces itself as the darkness. And Jesus addresses that darkness too. But the darkness most often present in the ordinary life is quieter than that. It is the darkness of the disorientation, the specific, private, completely real condition of the person who is moving through the days without the clarity that the light would provide, who is making decisions about the work, the relationships, the direction of the life, without the confidence that the decisions are correct, who is doing what seems right and uncertain if the seeming is reliable, who is in a season that has the quality of the almost dark, not the full darkness of the acute crisis, the specific grey quality of the life that is being lived without quite the illumination that would make the living fully confident. This is the darkness of the person who lies awake running the thoughts, the what if and the what should I have done and the what comes next and the am I going the right direction, the specific, exhausting, completely circular quality of the thinking that goes without arriving, that circles the same territory again and again because the light that would show the way through it is not present. The thoughts are the attempts to see in the dark, and the seeing in the dark without the light is the exhausting, insufficient, never quite resolving experience of the person who is trying to navigate without the illumination that the navigation requires. There is also the darkness of the self-knowledge, the person who does not see themselves clearly, who has the blind spots, the areas of the self that are not visible, the things about who they are that they have not yet been shown and that are shaping the choices and the patterns and the outcomes without their full awareness. The Pharisees in the healing of the man born blind are the portrait of this darkness, the people who believe they see and who are, precisely in the believing, most completely blind. The certainty of the seeing is the barrier to the receiving of the light that would show what the seeing is missing. I am the light of the world, the light that illuminates the path and the light that illuminates the self. The seeing of the way forward and the seeing of the self that is walking it. The specific, double illumination of the one who shows both the direction and the person who is taking it. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. The never is not the promise of the continuous feeling of clarity. It is the promise of the continuous presence of the one who is the clarity, available for every step, available in every disorientation, available in the dark that feels darkest and available in the ordinary grey of the ordinary day. The light has come into the world. The darkness does not have to be the final condition. The tradition has understood the light of the world statement in the context of two things that the contemporary reader almost always misses. The first is the setting. Jesus makes the I am the light of the world declaration in John 8:12, immediately after the account of the woman caught in adultery. The chapter break in the modern Bible obscures the connection, but in the original narrative the statement follows immediately from the scene in the temple courts. Jesus has written on the ground, the accusers have left, the woman has been released with neither do I condemn you, and go and sin no more. And then, turning from the woman to the crowd, he says, I am the light of the world. The connection is not accidental. What Jesus has just demonstrated is the light that sees clearly, that sees the woman as the full person rather than the evidence in the theological argument, that sees the accusers as the people whose own darkness prevents the condemning of another's, that sees through the performance of the righteousness to the actual condition of every person in the room. The "I am the light of the world" statement is the articulation of what the crowd has just witnessed. This seeing, this specific, complete, utterly undeceivable seeing, is the light, and the light is in the world. The second context is the Feast of Tabernacles. John 7 and 8 are set during the Feast of Tabernacles, the great harvest festival of the Jewish calendar, one of the 3 pilgrimage feasts that brought Jews from across the world to Jerusalem. The Feast of Tabernacles included, in the temple precinct, the ceremony of the great lamps. 4 enormous golden menorahs were lit in the court of the women, the outer court, the space where the people gathered, producing a light so brilliant that the rabbis said there was not a courtyard in Jerusalem that did not reflect its brightness. Every night of the feast the great lamps burned, and in the morning, John 8:2, Jesus went again to the temple and sat down to teach. In the court where the great lamps had blazed through the night, in the space where the brightness of the festival lighting had illuminated all of Jerusalem. And he said, "I am the light of the world." The great lamps had gone out with the end of the feast. Jesus was saying, "I am the light that does not go out." The third context is the prologue of John's Gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The light of all mankind. The light of the world statement in John 8 is the personal, present, immediate claiming of what the prologue has established theologically. The light that was in the world before the world recognized it, the true light that gives light to everyone, is standing in the temple court saying, "I am the thing the prologue described." The light that the darkness has never overcome. The light that the great lamps of the Feast of Tabernacles were pointing toward. The light that began at the creation, and that has been present in the world since before the world had eyes to see it. I am the light of the world. The lamps go out, the light does not. As Jesus went along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. The disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" The question is the theology of the darkness they grew up in. The assumption that the suffering has a cause in the person who suffers, that the blindness is the punishment for a sin, that the darkness the man was born into is the evidence of a moral failure somewhere in his history. It is the theology of the accusers in the woman's story, applied now to a man who was born unable to see. Jesus said, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned." This happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. The blindness is not the punishment. The blindness is the occasion, the darkness of the man's entire life. Every morning he has never seen the sunrise, every face he has never seen, every color and form and movement of the visual world that has always been inaccessible to him. All of it is the occasion for the display of the works of God. The darkness is not the final word about the man. The darkness is the canvas on which the light is about to be painted. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. And then Jesus did something remarkable. He spat on the ground. He made mud with the saliva, and he applied the mud to the man's eyes. The specific, earthy, completely embodied quality of this healing is deliberate. Jesus could have spoken the healing into existence. He has healed at a distance before. He has healed with a word. Here he spits in the dirt and makes mud and puts it on the man's eyes. A gesture so physical, so immediate, so thoroughly material that it refuses any attempt to spiritualize the healing into the abstract. The incarnation is happening in the dirt. The light of the world is getting his hands muddy. Go, wash in the pool of Siloam. The man went. He washed. He came home seeing. 4 words after a lifetime of darkness. He came home seeing. And the community could not process it. His neighbors, the people who had known him his whole life, who had seen him at the gate begging every day, were not sure it was him. Is this not the man who used to sit and beg? Some said it was. Others said he only looks like him. He had to keep saying, I am the man. I am the man. The healing had changed him so completely that the people who knew him could not be certain he was the person they knew. The Pharisees investigated. They called the man in. How did this happen? The man told them, it was Jesus. He made mud and put it on my eyes. I washed, and now I see. The Pharisees were divided. This man is not from God. He does not keep the Sabbath, one group said. How can a sinner perform such signs? The others asked. They could not agree. They called the man in again. What do you say about him, since he opened your eyes? He is a prophet, the man said. The Pharisees then called his parents. Is this your son? The parents confirmed, this is our son. He was born blind. We do not know how he can now see. Ask him. He is of age. The parents were afraid. They knew that the religious authorities had agreed that anyone who acknowledged Jesus as the Messiah would be put out of the synagogue. The Pharisees called the healed man back a second time. Give glory to God, they said. We know this man is a sinner. Whether he is a sinner or not, I do not know. One thing I do know. I was blind, but now I see. One thing I do know. The most honest and the most devastating sentence in the narrative. The healed man cannot resolve the theological argument. He does not know whether Jesus is a sinner. He does not have the authority to adjudicate the question of the Sabbath. He has only the thing that happened to him, the mud and the washing and the coming home seeing, the evidence of his own experience, the one thing that cannot be argued away. I was blind, but now I see. The Pharisees threw him out. Jesus found him afterward. Do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir? The man asked. Tell me so that I may believe in him. You have now seen him, Jesus said. In fact, he is the one speaking with you. Lord, I believe. And the man worshipped him. Then Jesus said, For judgment I have come into this world, so that the blind will see, and those who see will become blind. The Pharisees heard this. Are we blind too? If you were blind, Jesus said, you would not be guilty of sin. But now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains. The reversal is complete. The man who was born physically blind can now see in every sense. He was blind, he washed, he came home seeing, he was interrogated, he was thrown out, he was found by Jesus, and he believed. He moved from the darkness of the physical blindness through the darkness of the social exclusion into the full light of the knowledge of who Jesus is. The Pharisees who believed they could see, who had the theological education, the religious authority, the access to the scriptures, the standing in the community of faith, were blind. Blind to what was standing in front of them. Blind to the light that was the thing their whole tradition had been pointing toward. The light has come into the world. The question is not whether the light is present. The question is whether the eyes are open. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. The promise is not the removal of the darkness from the world. The world still has its darkness, the confusion and the suffering and the not knowing the way that the ordinary life produces in abundance. The promise is the light in the darkness, the having of the light while the darkness is present, the illumination for the feet even when the landscape ahead is obscured. This is a specific and practical promise. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. The lamp for the feet, not the floodlight that eliminates the darkness entirely. The lamp that illuminates the step the feet are taking. The specific, sufficient, completely adequate light for the immediate requirement. The person who follows the light of the world does not receive the complete map of the journey in advance. They receive the light for the next step, and the step taken in the light reveals the step after it, and the step after that is illuminated when it is reached. The following is the condition of the having. The person who stands still in the darkness, waiting for the light to eliminate the darkness before they will move. This person does not receive the lamp for the feet. The lamp is given for the walking. The following is the active, continuing, repeatedly returned to, choosing to move in the direction the light reveals. And the moving is the receiving of the light. The two cannot be separated. The light also illuminates the self. This is the dimension of the healing that the blind man's story most fully explores. He was asked again and again what he could see, and his answers grew progressively more complete. First, he made mud and put it on my eyes. Then, he is a prophet. Then, whether he is a sinner or not, I cannot say, but I was blind, and now I see. Then, Lord, I believe. Each encounter with the darkness, with the neighbor's doubt, the Pharisees' investigation, the parents' fear, produced a clearer seeing of who Jesus was. The darkness was the occasion for the seeing to deepen. The person who follows the light does not receive the full illumination of the self all at once. The self-knowledge that the light provides comes in the following, in the experience of the step taken and the response to the step, in the encounter with the darkness that the step reveals, in the progressive, accumulating seeing of who one is and who Jesus is that the continued following produces. The man born blind came home seeing, and then he was interrogated, and then thrown out, and then found, and then he believed. The seeing was real from the moment of the washing. The full seeing required the journey. I am the light of the world. the light for the path, the light for the self, the light that the darkness has not overcome and cannot overcome, available tonight for the step that is required right now. The psychological research on clarity, disorientation, and the conditions that produce clear seeing confirms what the tradition has understood about the light and the darkness. The first concept is the psychology of cognitive clarity and decision-making under uncertainty. The research on decision-making, particularly the work of psychologist Roy Baumeister and colleagues on decision fatigue, and the broader research on cognitive load and clarity, shows that the human capacity for clear seeing is significantly degraded by uncertainty, exhaustion, and the accumulated weight of unresolved decisions. The person who is carrying multiple unresolved concerns, who is lying awake with the thoughts circling, is operating with significantly reduced cognitive clarity. The circling thoughts are the attempt to see in the dark, and the attempt to see in the dark without the light that would make the seeing possible produces the exhaustion without the resolution. The research on what restores cognitive clarity is relevant here. The consistent finding is that clarity is restored not by more thinking, but by the specific practices that quiet the circling, sleep, rest, the deliberate setting down of the unresolved. The person who takes the unresolved concern and places it in prayer, in the writing that externalizes the thought, in the deliberate act of trust that releases the holding, wakes to a clarity that the continued circling could not produce. The following of the light is, among other things, the following that releases the circling into the one who holds the unresolved. The practical application, the specific, circling thought that is present tonight, the thing that the mind keeps returning to without arriving at a resolution. Name it, hold it, and then release it, specifically and deliberately, into the hands of the one who said, "Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness." The release is the step. The step is the following. And the following is the receiving of the light that the circling was trying to produce without the source. The second concept is the Dunning-Kruger effect and the blindness of the certain. The psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger documented in 1999 a consistent finding. People who are least competent in a domain are the most likely to overestimate their competence. The less they know, the more certain they are. The more they know, the more aware they become of what they do not know. The experts have the most accurate sense of their own limitations. The novices have the least. The Pharisees in the healing of the blind man are the Dunning-Kruger effect in the 1st century. Their certainty, we know this man is a sinner, we know that God does not hear sinners, we know the rules about the Sabbath, was the certainty of the people who believed they saw completely and who were, in the believing, most completely blind. The man born blind, who had none of their theological credentials, arrived at the correct answer before any of them. Whether he is a sinner or not, I cannot say, but I was blind, and now I see. The honest acknowledgement of the limited knowing is the beginning of the seeing. The certain claiming of the complete knowing is the closing of the eyes. The practical application, the practice of the honest acknowledgement of what is not seen, The specific, deliberate humility of the person who names the blind spots, rather than claiming the complete vision, is the practice that opens the eyes to the light that is available. I do not know the full picture. I do not see clearly in this area. I am asking the one who sees completely to show me what I am missing. This is the prayer that the light answers. The claiming of the complete vision closes the eyes to it. The third concept is the research on meaning-making and narrative coherence. The psychologist Dan McAdams and colleagues have studied what they call narrative identity, the story a person tells about their life, the way the events are integrated into a coherent account that gives the life meaning and direction. The research consistently shows that the people with the most stable well-being and the most resilient response to adversity are the people with the most coherent narrative, who can connect the present experience to the larger story of who they are and where they are going. The darkness the tradition addresses is, in part, the darkness of the incoherent narrative. The person who cannot see where the present difficulty fits in the larger story, who cannot connect the current darkness to a direction, is the person most disoriented by the darkness. The man born blind did not know at the beginning of his story that his blindness was the occasion for the display of the works of God. He only knew the blindness. The light that Jesus brought was not only the physical sight, it was the narrative coherence, the seeing of how the blindness fit, how the mud and the washing and the coming home, seeing and the interrogation and the finding and the believing were all part of the story that the light was telling. The practical application: bring the current darkness to the narrative. The present difficulty, the season, the circumstance, the thing that feels incoherent and without direction, place it in the larger story. This happened so that the works of God might be displayed. The meaning of the present darkness is not always visible in the darkness. The following of the light is the moving through the darkness with the trust that the works of God are being displayed, and the seeing of the display arrives in the following, not before it. The healing of the man born blind is alive in your life right now. There is a woman who has been walking in the gray, not the dramatic darkness. The gray, the specific, persistent, completely ordinary condition of the person whose life is proceeding correctly and whose sense of direction is quietly absent. The career is developing, the relationships are maintained, the responsibilities are met, and there is a quality to the days, a specific, private, completely difficult to name quality of someone moving through a landscape that she cannot quite see clearly. The choices feel right, but not quite right. The direction feels forward, but not quite sure. The life feels good, but not quite illuminated. She is not in crisis. She is in the gray. The gray is the darkness that the world does not have a name for, because the world does not offer the light that would resolve it. The world offers clarity through achievement. If you have the right career, the right relationship, the right financial position, the right status, you will feel clear. She has most of these things, and the clarity is still not present. Because the clarity that resolves the gray is not the clarity of the circumstances. It is the clarity of the direction, the lamp for the feet, the knowing of the step that is required right now and the confidence that the taking of it is the right taking. She is asking the disciples' question in the private form that the disciples' question takes for the contemporary person. Who sinned, this woman or her parents, that she was born into this grey? What is wrong with her, that the light that other people seem to have has been unavailable to her? The question is the wrong question. The darkness is not the punishment. The darkness is the occasion. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. The light is available for the grey, specifically for the grey, for the not the dramatic crisis, but the quiet disorientation. The lamp that illuminates the next step does not require the acute suffering to activate. It is available for the ordinary morning when the direction is unclear. The following is the practice. The step is the receiving. There is a man who is certain he can see. He has the theology sorted. He has the framework, the understanding of how God works, the principles that govern the circumstances, the specific, confident, completely coherent account of why things are the way they are and what should be done about them. He is the Pharisee in the story, not the villain, the person with the genuine training and the genuine investment in the right understanding of the faith. And there is a blind man in front of him. Not literally. The blind man in front of him is the person whose experience does not fit the framework. The suffering that the theology says should not be happening. The person whose circumstances refuse to resolve in the way the principles suggest they should resolve. The evidence of the light doing something that the certain seeing cannot account for. And the certainty is the barrier. We know this man is a sinner. We know God does not hear sinners. We know. The knowing closes the eyes to the seeing. The framework prevents the receiving of the evidence. And the man who was born blind, who has none of the training, none of the credentials, none of the confident theology, keeps saying the one thing that cannot be argued away. I was blind, but now I see. The light is doing something new. The question is whether the certain seeing can receive the new thing, whether the framework can be held loosely enough that the evidence that does not fit the framework can be allowed to reshape the framework, whether the knowing can be offered to the one who sees completely and received back in the form of the seeing that is more complete than the knowing. If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains. The humility of the I was blind and now I see is the humility that the light can work with. The certainty of the we know is the blindness that prevents the seeing. And there is a person lying awake right now in the darkness of the not knowing what comes next. The specific, exhausting, completely consuming darkness of the person in the transition, the job ending, the relationship at the uncertain point, the health situation whose trajectory is unclear, the season of the life that feels like the moment between the washing in the pool and the coming home seeing. The person who has done the washing and who is walking home and who cannot yet see what the coming home will show. He went and washed. He came home seeing. He did not see before he washed. He did not see during the washing. He came home seeing. The seeing arrived at the end of the obedience, after the going and the washing, at the moment of the coming home. The light was not given before the walking. The light was given in the walking. And the walking in the not yet seeing was the following that the light of the world rewarded with the sight. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. The following is available right now, in this room, in this dark. One step in the direction the light has shown, and the coming home seeing is on the other side of it. The illumination that the light of the world provides is not given all at once. It is given step by step in the following, across the seasons of the walking in the direction the light reveals. The man born blind received his physical sight in a moment, the washing, the coming home seeing. The full illumination of who Jesus was took the rest of the chapter. The neighbor's questions, the Pharisees' investigation, the being thrown out, the being found, the believing, the seeing accumulated in the following. The first thing that changes is the relationship with the not knowing. The person who has received the I am the light of the world statement, who has understood that the following is the condition of the having and that the light is given step by step, finds that the not knowing changes quality. The not knowing that was the anxiety of the person without the light becomes the not knowing of the person who has the lamp for the feet. The next step is illuminated. The step after that is not yet visible. And the not visibility of the step after next is not the darkness of the person who has no light. It is the ordinary condition of the person who is following the lamp that illuminates one step at a time. The second thing that changes is the response to the darkness that encounters the following. The man born blind was interrogated, doubted. His parents were questioned. He was thrown out of the synagogue. The following of the light did not eliminate the darkness from his path. It equipped him to walk through it. The one thing I do know, the anchor in the storm of the Pharisees' questioning, was the evidence of the light in his own experience. The person who follows the light accumulates this anchor across the seasons of the walking. The evidence of the light's previous workings becomes the ground of the trust in the present darkness. The third thing that changes is the quality of the seeing of others. The person who follows the light of the world begins to see other people more clearly, as the light of the world sees them, with the full regard rather than the reduction, with the seeing of the person rather than the evidence in the argument. The disciples saw a man whose blindness was the evidence of someone's sin. Jesus saw a man whose blindness was the occasion for the display of the works of God. The following of the one who sees the full person gradually produces the seeing of the full person in the follower. The fourth change is the deepening of the knowing. The Pharisees knew. The healed man did not know. And the healed man arrived at the correct understanding before the knowers did. The following of the light, the honest, humble, I was blind and now I see following rather than the we know following, is the following that produces the deepening, not the accumulated certainty of the person who has the framework. The accumulated evidence of the person who has been walking in the light and who has seen, step by step, the light doing what the light does. I was blind. Now I see. The seeing grows. In the following, one step at a time. And now, let everything grow very still. The darkness of tonight is real, whatever form it takes. The gray disorientation, the not knowing what comes next, the circling thoughts that cannot find the resolution, the uncertainty about the direction. The darkness is real, and the light is also real. The one who stood in the temple courts and said, "I am the light of the world," is in this room right now, with the same words and the same complete, undiminished, completely available presence that was present in Jerusalem. Let the lamp be received, not the floodlight that eliminates all uncertainty in advance. The lamp for the feet, the light on the path, the specific, sufficient, completely adequate illumination for the step that is required right now. The next step is available in the light. The step after it will be available when the next step has been taken. The following is the receiving, and the receiving is available tonight in the choosing to orient toward the one who is the light, in the placing of the circling thoughts into the hands of the one who sees the full picture, in the taking of the one step that the light has shown. Let the one thing I know be received. I was blind, but now I see. Whatever has been given in the seasons of the following, the evidence of the light's previous workings, the moments when the darkness was walked through and the coming home seeing arrived on the other side, this is the anchor. The darkness of tonight does not cancel the light of the previous seasons. The following that produced the seeing then is the ground for the trust in the seeing that is coming. The light has not gone out. The lamp does not expire. The darkness has not overcome it. Let the following be practiced tonight. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. The following begins in the turning, the specific, quiet, completely private turning of the attention toward the one who is the light, in the prayer that does not need to be eloquent, in the releasing of the circling into the hands that see clearly what the circling cannot resolve, in the trust that the next step is illuminated even when the step after it is not yet visible. The following is tonight. The light is available, and the darkness, the gray, the disorientation, the not knowing, will not have the final word. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. John 9:5. I was blind, but now I see. John 9:25. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. John 1:9. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. Psalm 119:105.